Hi everyone. I thought I'd uh, add another relatively quicker tutorial than my uh, longer format videos. Uh, what we're going to focus on is the simple, um, head drawing and the simple shapes that make up the head drawing. So we're looking at a cranium and we're looking at a jaw beneath, essentially two basic shapes. Now, this basic shape at the top is the sphere, and at the jaw area could be represented as a sort of cube, uh, altered cube somewhat. Um, Now, a good habit to get into is to practice. Um, Look at the skull and practice identifying that the circle shape in the beginning. So here, oops, I've still got the lasso tool. Here, like I've just shown you before, is our cranium, and it makes up about 2/3 of that skull, the whole skull. Here on an angle, and when you come to an angle, it sort of eggs out a bit, but just get it roughly correct, roughly close. Oops, that was my mistake there. I've gone through the eyeballs, and we've got the center of that spherical shape, which would be the brow ridge. The base of that spherical shape would be roughly the nose. Okay, now we will add a T line. So what do I mean by that? I'll look at the first skull. I've got the center of that skull, and that T shape is simply a line going through the middle of the eyebrows, the nose, and the mouth. And if you've got an angle here, let's try it over here. Hopefully you can see that. You've got this brow ridge, and I'm going to draw through that dotted line. Remember, we got into the habit of drawing through, and this T line. So look for the T line after you've drawn this sphere, and the T line would come down here. And of course it would curve following the contour, the shape of that the cranium. And a quick proportional thing, there's something important. You see how that line through the first circle, the first sphere, and at the base, you've got the brow ridge. Then you see it meets kind of the base of the nose. So we've got two equal parts here. Let's call it X and X. And if you put down roughly another X length, you'll have the base of the chin. And the chin doesn't go all the way across. We'll only put a small notch, like so. And we'll continue lines from, say, these outer eyeballs, the outer eye sockets, down to the chin. And at the back, you'd roughly around, say you've got the side plane of that. It'd be a good habit to get into recognizing the side plane of the skull. So I'll add that there. And this point here is just, I can't remember the exact name, but it's behind this mandible. And it's just under your ear, behind and under the base of your ear. And we'll do a connection there. Nice and simple. So if I was to do it here, I know I've got so many lines coming across, just roughly into that these planes of this skull. So that's all we're going to focus on in this tutorial, is identifying these planes. And we'll go through examples here. I've got on the side, um, yes, oh, this might be a bit of a rough angle to begin with, but let's start with this 3/4. So here, I'll just erase this title, make everything neat. Now, we've got this lady. Where is her, where do we find this spherical shape? And remember oh, geez, from the side, since we can see a bit of the side of her head, maybe I'll make it lighter. And I'm looking for the base of that nose roughly, the back of the head. Okay. Remember from what I meant from the side, when you're starting to get a side angle, that sphere turns into a bit of an egg shape. I'll go through that egg shape at the center. We'll draw through, and remember that brow ridge that we look out for, and that's roughly at the center of that sphere. Hopefully it's making sense. Now, we see, because she's facing to her left, we, this T line should be more on the right side of the face when we're looking at it. Okay? So it's not in the middle, of course. Emphasize that she's looking up to the side. So it looks as if this head, this construction is beginning to look out that way. Now, identify roughly where the end of the eye socket is. And if we look, I'd judge that to be around the center of that whole sphere. Okay, first, I forgot this. This length should be around the same length as the first section, second section, and the third section will be roughly the same. So we've got the brow line, base of the nose, and the chin. What did we do last time? We looked at the end of the eye socket around this area. This would be where her eye socket is. And I'll draw down to the chin. Okay. This side, the gestural line seems to be going like that. Now, the base of the ear, roughly around here, and we draw another line to the chin. I also should have emphasized in the beginning that we should identify this side plane of the head. Okay, if I was to draw through, you could see it like this. So if I go up from that base of the ear, that will be the side, where the ear starts over here. Okay, so let's go through that again. Oh, no. Whoops. I'll go through another example actually, as I've drawn over this layer. Bad habit. Okay, another example. I'll draw this without drawing over the model. We've got the sphere of the head. Now, the brow ridge, it's kind of up on that sphere. So now we're getting into a situation where we have to start using our intuitiveness to figure out that the eyebrow ridge is upward of that sphere. I'll also draw a area for the base of that nose. Okay, to the base of the nose. And if I start using hints from the skull that I've studied, drawing eye sockets there. Remember that T line? The T, continue down. This area, these, okay, here's the little thing about perspective. Say her head is a box and we're looking from underneath up at her, which we are. We're looking at the base of her jaw and neck there. So if something is looking up, it tends to, we see more of the base, then less and less and less. These distances as we go up tend to get smaller. So I'll push that. We've got a big area here from the nose to the the chin to the nose base. And then from the nose base to the brow ridge, it gets smaller. And from the brow ridge to the forehead, it gets even smaller. Do you notice that? So use that knowledge to help you with your perspective. I'll throw in a side plane, and the side plane is usually at the edge of the eye sockets. And it goes down to that nose line that curves all the way around. And feel free to modify things. The other thing we did was connect from the outer eye sockets to the chin and the base of the ear to the chin. So you see we've got this mask. Now this spherical shape on this side behind the ear, that's usually where you'd find the where the neck meets the cranium. And if I drew through all that, I'd roughly find that area where the other side of the neck meets the bottom plane of the head. So just connect that up. Okay, that was a bit of a more difficult scenario. We'll try another one. Okay, let me delete that. What else have we got? We've seen her. Let's try this one. Spherical shape. Now I feel the eyebrows going through that spherical shape like so. And we're seeing her from beneath a little bit because she's kind of, you can sort of see the underneath of the chin. Okay, the T-line. So we've started the sphere. We're going to put the T-line that goes through the center of her eyebrows, the base of the nose. Now you notice the base of the nose where I've got the cursor is here and not the tip of her nose. So always follow the base. Give it a slight curve because the face isn't just a straight up and down. It's like an egg shape around. Like that. Okay. Now, okay, from what I had mentioned before, let's say I put the base of the nose here on this line and around that sphere. So that line, okay, this area will shorten as we go up. So from the brow ridge to the where you see of the forehead is smaller. This is a bit bigger, and this should get even bigger because we've got a perspective. And if I push that perspective, we're looking up at her. Okay. The side plane. Now that would be from the corner of eye socket. So let's say I put the eye socket here. I'll make that a bit bigger. Always modify and adjust to fit what you need. I've got the center axis of that spherical shape on the side. Now remember we connect, if I was to go through, I'd connect that And that is where we're seeing her jaw. With the base of it, or underneath the jaw. Okay. What other part? Yep, we went from the outer socket at the top of the ridge to the chin also. And I feel that gesture like this. So that's how you would represent her head with the basic shapes, and then adding the planes on top. Whoop, where is this? Okay, I draw on the layer again. Silly me. That's it. Not. Now, let's see if we've got more examples from the side. What do we do here? Now let's use the information we've already got that I showed you before, is that as the head turns to the side, it becomes more of a egg shape. So I'll draw an egg shape. Draw through, and it'll be about the center, because I'm not looking at the side of his head from any specific perspective. The perspective is just side on. Now, that T shape, you won't see so much of that brow ridge. You just see a hint at it like that. Now, let's say I've got one space up here, maybe around the forehead, the hairline. 1, 2, and then 3. Okay. Midway, and a circle, base of the ear, and edge of that eye socket to the chin also. Okay. And the ear would fall on the back part of that line. So I'll add the neck, and we've got the skull using reference, using basic shapes. So if I go and rehash all of this again, just to really drill it through, I'll do it on a blank page. You can go through these simple steps to use when you're looking at a head, or probably best to start with skulls, and then from there you work on regular heads, and what you're going to do is focus on that spherical shape, the T. Also, you've got, if you've got the your T down and it's at an angle, remember we've got the side plane of the head too to consider. Okay, and where was that side plane? That side plane was roughly at the base, met the base of the nose, and was at the edge of the eye socket. Okay, this area here. At the middle of this sphere on the side, you'd have the area where behind it is where you would find the location of the ear. Now you'll notice with the location of the ear, it lines up with the eye ridge and the base of the nose. What else did we learn? We've got 3 portions, so 1, 2, and 3, which are roughly the same. First portion, base of the brow ridge. Second, base of the nose. Third is the chin. Connect the eye socket, the outer eye sockets to the chin. Connect the base of the ear to the chin. Okay, so this is all I want you to do for when you're practicing building the head from basic shapes. So I think this would be more important than studying anatomy. Um, Later on, we'll get into anatomy, but I would encourage you all to practice this basic head shape from these simple forms many times until you're able to do them from your head, and you'll have a lot of fun from there. And these, remember, are just generic uh, sizes. People are different, so you could have people with smaller foreheads, larger distance from the nose to the chin, and it also depends on the characters that you're creating uh, at your own artistic liberty. So push these proportions, but always know that this this sphere and this T are the most important parts into building the head. I'll make a short on this in case you don't have time to watch all of this. Well, it's been about 20 minutes. But yeah, feel free to comment uh, if you've got any better ideas on how to build a head or anything else you want me to get into. So take care, and I'll see you next time. Keep creating.